your business, the people you're trying to lead. And what you're trying to do is put a little bit of tension and stop. Not too much. You'll break it. You're being a bully, right? Put a little bit of tension on it and then stop. And the tension gets relieved, right? People follow. So to me this, and it was shared with me a long time ago, that really to me is part of this leadership business, is we have to paint the vision. Where are we going as a company, as a group, as a whatever it is you're trying to lead. Create a little bit of tension and people will follow and move to that tension. And that doesn't mean be a bully, that means paint the vision, show them the way, right? Let them follow the tension. Servant leader, and this is repeat, we always empathize, we always accept the person, but sometimes we refuse to accept the person's efforts, performance. Sometimes the performance is not good enough. I'm going through this with one of my leaders right now. So that's part of servant leadership too. We don't accept when the performance isn't good enough. What are the returns? And you know, an associate will take ownership. Your people will take ownership. They tend to go the extra mile. They tend to give you more. Collaboration, no question about it, that you're seldom alone in decisions if you're truly a servant leader. Willingness to share information leads to a greater likelihood of success. So it's an open style of management, right? It's about information sharing. It's about trust. It's about we did this. And then the result, you know, the punchline is the happier workforce, the more motivated workforce, the more supported workforce, does end up benefiting you and the company. So this is, you know, Dick wanted me to talk about the business that I lead. It's called Beyond Vision. We provide employment to people who are blind. So this is Julie. Julie works in our assembly and packaging area. So I'm just going to really, very briefly overview what we do. We're a 501c3. We've been around for 110 years this year. It was established a long time ago. It wasn't a company, you know, in 1944 we were basket weaving. It was, but now it's a company. We're ISO certified. We pay minimum wage, and we hire, we fire, we promote, we demote. We just employ people who are blind. This is Sophie. This is the stuff we do. So how do we create the jobs? We do it by doing work for other companies. And you can see that we're currently employing 93 people, and 38 of them are blind. And we do this for a lot of companies. So enough about us. I can't really tell you better than our employees can tell you why I do what I do, why I get up in the morning. So I want to show you a video about Frenchie. It's called Frenchie's Story. And if there's Amy, she's got to help me. So I want to play you a video about this is what motivates me in the morning. This is what gets me up. This is what makes me come to the Thursday morning roundtable meetings to talk about servant leadership.
Frenchie Randolph works hard every day by assembling and packaging for big companies such as Briggs & Stratton, Pentair, and Harley-Davidson. Unlike some people that go to work every day just to put in their hours, Frenchie carries herself with a sense of confidence and pride.
Work is important because it gives me a chance to show my independence on how productive I can be in society.
Frenchie works at Beyond Vision, a company that hires the sight impaired and those who are blind to do assembly and packaging, machining, and call center tasks. It's her can-do attitude that is very infectious throughout the company.
When she came to Beyond Vision several years ago, was one of the first people I hired when I was on board. And she right away struck me as a very outgoing, gregarious person who really had a mind for what she wanted to do with her life. And I just thought it was a great opportunity for the Beyond Vision family to become involved with that. And she has been just a wonderful asset to us since.
Frenchie really sort of embodies everything that we do here at Beyond Vision, because she works as hard as she can to do the best she can. Give her a week on the job and she'll be breaking rate. Got a tremendous work ethic.
But finding work was not always easy for Frenchie.
I experienced difficulties in the past with trying to find a job because no one would hire someone with a disability, especially visual impairment, because they didn't want to take the chance of being liable for any damages that was done to me.
That changed when she started work with Beyond Vision.
When I first started working here, I was kind of nervous because I didn't know if I was capable of doing the job, how productive I would be, if I can keep up with the quality work that was needed to be done. I started feeling better about myself when I could show how much work I can do and how fast I can do it, and the quality.
You can't tell just by looking, but Frenchie has complete vision loss.
I've actually had vision problems since I was 1.5 years old due to lead poisoning, but I experienced the vision loss in my late teens. And it's been a struggle depending on somebody else to help you when you can't do it yourself. It's a challenge. It's a flexibility on an everyday basis. It's part of life that you have to deal with.
Once people have had a chance to talk to Frenchie, they find out that it's very rare when she thinks only of herself.
Legally, I raised 6 kids, 3 of my own, 3 non-biological, and I also assisted in helping other children as well. The challenges of taking care of children was because I was a single parent. And as anybody know, one income from one person was not helpful. And it was a challenge because I had to be the discipline, I had to be the nurturing, I had to be the one to encourage them as well. And it's hard as a single parent.
Even her future plans are based on others, and that is to
continue working here at Beyond Vision as I continue my education to receive my bachelor's in education and teaching, to work with kids with special needs. I can understand the struggle that they're going through and what they'll be going through, and I can help train them just as I've been trained to succeed.
Frenchie Randolph is a role model for other employees and her own family.
It gives me a chance for my kids to see that even with the vision impairment that I have, that I can still find a job, I can still take care of my family, and that's what I want them to see, that regardless of what disability you may have, you can still be productive, you can still make it in life.
Frenchie is attending school at Cardinal Stritch, pursuing her teaching degree. So she's going to teach special needs kids. Pretty cool. You think she's a servant leader? Oh yeah, just like Johnny the Bagger, right? So that's my story. That's what I wanted to share with you. I want to share one more analogy with you. I guess I'm a visual learner. I like metaphors and analogies and examples. So this was shared with me along. None of my material is original, by the way. So now you know I believe in bribery. I steal, and I want you to like me, so I bribe people. But I'm also a leaker. I said, when Amy said, "What's your title?" I said, "Well, just tell them I'm a leaker." So I am a leaker. So what I mean by that is this stuff, I don't think it comes naturally to me, so I have to keep coming back. I have to go to the Thursday morning meetings. By the way, where's Dan? Dan's in the back there. If you want to get involved with the Thursday morning, it's free. We just come together. We have coffee down at the Ambassador Hotel. Third Thursdays, I think it is. Third Thursdays at 8 o'clock in the morning. And Dan is our facilitator and coordinator of it. And we get together and we talk about servant leader principles and applications. If somebody brings a hot topic, we'll go to that. But I'm a leaker, and what I mean by that, and who thinks this comes naturally to you? Anybody? A few people. Yeah, I think some people, they sort of have this in their DNA. I don't know. Who thinks it doesn't come naturally? That, we sort of, my natural tendency is to take charge, right? Take charge. Do what I say. Follow me. So this was shared with me a long time ago, and I'll just share it with you. So this is me. It says I'm a leaker, and this is what happens. So I come on Thursday morning, and I make a mess. I leak all over the place, right? Because this is what happens to me at work. This is what happens to me during the stress of the day. Because the economy isn't working out as well as it should, and so I'm a leaker. I leak, and I have to come every Thursday. I have to keep coming back to these seminars and on Thursday morning. And the cool part is, though, if you fill yourself up enough, you also spill over onto others. So I am a leaker. Who's a leaker in here? Anybody a leaker? Yeah. Well, I have a leaky cup for you. I have another gift. I don't know if there's enough to go around, but if you'd like to have a leaky cup, come and help yourself. And that's what I wanted to share. Thanks very much.
So what kind of a reaction do you typically get when you first start engaging in this kind of activity?
Did everybody hear?
Well, the question is, what kind of reaction do you get when you first engage in servant leadership activities?
Suspicion.
I work with a lot of technical individuals working here at MSUE, and also a lot of the individuals that I work with in corporate America. Usually it's like, that's not the way it's usually done, and how could you do that? And then it's really interesting as you start talking with them more and more and start giving examples, you're like, wow, I really like that, and I can see that, but it's a transition for them. And it's a real challenge. It's disruptive. And I think that's actually where learning takes place, is when it's disruptive. So it's not easy.
I think Jim made the comment that some of this takes time too. And there's natural pressures at work of what's going to happen in the quarter and how do we meet our month. And so it does take the discipline to say that you've got to keep that foot on the accelerator for sure. But this is a long-term commitment, and we can't expect that you just go to one class and all of a sudden everybody's going to be transformed and feel differently. So it really helps when you can have a champion that believes in that in your organization and helps to drive it and maintain the persistent approach and thought behind it.
I would say servant leadership is really good for business. I think Johnny the Bagger showed the impact of that on that. But God's blessed us with about a 45% growth in enrollment during the last 5 years. And I'm convinced more than ever, and those of us involved in higher education, there's a lot of people writing off the young people today. Do not do that. These are phenomenal. This is a great generation of men and women that want to just be part of something genuine, authentic, real. This intrigues them. Mary, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is the most hopeful thing. And when people are down and out, just look around at what young people are doing, what they're thinking, what they pray about, and I think you really can get a glimpse into a wonderful future.
Mary's the president of Alverno. So I'm speaking on behalf of the college-age students of today. I believe we're in a great shape, and it's a great time to have these discussions across the sectors like we're doing.
I would also say that as employers, if we don't recognize the importance of this to that generation, we're not going to be able to attract, or more importantly, retain that generation in our workforce.
Another question.
I just don't want to miss the opportunity for Jim to share a little something about something he saw in that video. A couple months ago, he invited our Thursday group to tour Beyond Vision, and it was a wonderful experience. And you saw in the video, the young lady was using a soda bottle top to slide a sleeve down over something. And he talked to us about that, and he told us what the engineer wanted to do and what he told the engineer he couldn't do. And I just wanted to give Jim a chance to share that story.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories. So the soda bottle, if you remember, Frenchie was putting a foam air filter over the bottom part of the filter, and that's really hard to do. When we first got the job for Briggs and Stratton, we were really struggling to do it fast enough and efficiently enough. And one of our employees came up with the idea of putting a 20-ounce soda bottle, cutting off the bottom of it, and making a funnel for the top of the filter. And so, and it improved the process by, you know, an order of magnitude. I mean, we suddenly made something very difficult, very easy, because one of our employees came up with this idea, a simple idea. So we, to this day, we still use 20-ounce soda bottles. I hope they don't stop making them, because we, and our engineer said, "Wow, it's a really cool idea." We have an engineer from MSOE actually, and he said, "I'm going to design a funnel for that." I said, "Don't you dare! leave the soda bottle," because, you know, Andy remembered the soda bottle because it's impressive, because one of our employees came up with it, and it's one of my favorite stories because, you know, it's the power of being open to employees' ideas that was at work there. So I said, you cannot redesign the soda bottle. Leave it alone.
Questions?
With regards to the Brady experience, how did you prepare them for that week-long experience in Ho Chi Minh City, and what have you done since then to keep that from merely being an experience or a mountaintop experience? How has that become part of the culture for those people as they go forward?
I'll start. We purposely didn't prepare them for that experience because we did want it to be, in some ways, a really immersion into it. Now you have to realize Al's team had been around working together for a while, and we had some team building before that with them, but not necessarily this experience. During that, there was a lot of moments of, okay, stop right now. We're going to do a reflective moment. You need to sit back and think about where you're at. What can you do differently? How can you contribute to the team? Which was also very different from their process, trying to help them to take this all in, because it was pretty intense. But then how did it play out?
Yeah, Kelly and I laugh. We weren't prepared ourselves for what was going to happen in some of these instances. And I was the only one on the team that knew what we were doing that week. We just said bring blue jeans and go to Vietnam. I packed a whole suitcase full of medical supplies, medicine, and over-the-counter stuff, but because I wanted to donate that to the people. It was Tuesday during the week that I was called out of a meeting by the head of the hotel security staff, telling me that I needed to go to the airport because that suitcase that I packed it never showed up with the rest of my stuff.
Including his clothes, I'm sorry, I'll add that to it.
And then midweek, all of a sudden, I'm pulled away from the team and forced to deal with Vietnamese customs authorities. And the team looked at me and said, "How did you set that up?" And I said, "Honestly, I didn't." So we just had to go with the flow with that. How do we keep this alive going forward?
I'm going to add one other thing. The whole agenda really shifted the whole time. So, I mean, it was really nothing. We had set things, but as that, everything else evolved. So it was a matter of just-in-time kind of preparation.
So how do we keep it alive going forward? As a team, we committed. We got together once a quarter. Some teams get together once a month, but when you're traveling all over Asia, we could only do it once a quarter. And so that's 4 times a year. One of those times a year, instead of a 2-day meeting, we had a week-long meeting, and we had Kelly come out and work with us as a team, and we solely focused on leadership. We put all of our P&Ls aside, we put all of our business issues aside, and we focused on how do we become a better performing work team? How do we help support each other in what we're trying to do? And so it was that commitment. And I went home last night. I switched jobs 2 years ago, same company, different job. And I went home last night, and my wife said, "Gosh, you seem like you had a great day at work." And I said, "I did. For the first time, I've started that now with my new team." And shame on me, it was 18 months that we were just so busy that I didn't dedicate the time to that. But so it does take an active demonstration to say we are going to commit our time to do this going forward.
As you have staff turnover and new employees come on board, how do you engage them in that culture, knowing that they haven't had that experience with you?
Good question. I think, we really try to spend time understanding the personality and the individual and the interests when we're hiring. We do a group interview process and spend a lot of time on the interview process. I think a lot of companies don't spend enough time on making sure there's a fit between the individual and the culture you're trying to breed, and we really do. We have a group process. Usually it depends on the position, and typically we'll have 3 peer people to that position involved in the interview, and really try to spend a lot of time up front making sure there's a fit. And and then if there ends up not being a fit, deal with it early on in the onboarding process. But I think there's the hard part is getting the culture to move this way. Once you get enough critical mass in the culture that believes in this, people have to come along. Right? They won't like it there if they don't come along. So.
I was going to comment, and it was mentioned Don and Levon Zietlow, Quick Trip, and Don and Levon Zietlow are just dear friends of ours at WLC, and the questions that they ask, right, when to hire, isn't really getting at that hard issue, right? And I think one of the things that we just see more and more is just the mission is the mission, and the ethos is who you are, and just trying to, I think, when you bring people on board, making sure you have the right heart to be assimilated into that. I think the other thing that I just mentioned is, I think as leaders of any organization, the balance between systemically and organizationally trying to infuse servant leadership at the risk of just losing the organic nature of just what you are. We started a Center for Christian Leadership recently, and we're launching a certificate for leadership for our students. And one of the challenges that we're just making sure we don't, by having the process, losing the authenticity and the organic nature of just what it means to just serving just because. Does that make sense?
I think the other thing that especially larger corporations have to be cautious of is, how do you assess and reward talent within your organization? And this is something that I've learned personally a lot over the last 6 months, is that if you're not happy about the direction that your organization is going or that a team is going, you need to look at how you're assessing leadership. And I'll be honest with you, within Brady Corporation, I would say that we had a fairly traditional way of assessing leadership. It was very driven on results. And did we make this P&L, or did gross margins go up, or et cetera? Through all your reward and promotion mechanisms, you're going to be infiltrating the exact talent that maybe got you in the position that you're in. And so a number of people on my team have helped me understand a broader definition of leadership, and we've actually built that recently into our assessment tools, and I hope and expect that that is going to broaden our dimension of leadership within the company.
Can you say more about that, Bill? What it includes?
I'm going to point out Erica Joy Daniels, if you just raise your hand, EJ, in the back of the room, because I have a commitment that after this I'm going to have to run back to work. EJ's been instrumental in helping us and me as a leader understand that. But it would embody more of the servant leadership principles, and I don't say that just because we're a servant leadership conference, but do leaders show empathy to their team? Are they understanding? Are they flexible in different work environments? Those are not things that you can directly tie back to gross profit margins, inventory turns, etc. But those are things that are important to inspiring people.
I will give you a 55-year view of this. I'm really old, so I have this benefit. Along the way, you will be tested, and your natural inclination is goodness. Great majority of people, it's goodness. And you just have to bring that out somehow, and I don't have a formula for you. Have that person discover what it's like to do something for someone else without an expectation. And sometimes that has to be